So I have put every single Death School spell, plus all of the like different ranks of Grim Reader, and the spell that we do not speak of, and also the 2 different versions of Ghoul and Dark Sprite and Banshee, Vampire, Wraith, Skeletal Pirate, Ship of Fools. Yeah, so basically every single Death School spell and most of the variations of them. Let us decide whether they be good or not. So we'll start with the rank X spell, which is Animate. This is obviously only for PvE. Okay, I don't care about PvP. I don't PvP. So yeah, if you have any suggestions, let me know in chat as well, and we'll and I'll debate you. I'll debate you on it. Let me just quickly make myself not as invisible, thus making myself more invisible, because that makes sense. Cool. Post a screenshot of this on Twitter after you're done if you're feeling brave. Oh, I will 100% will. So we start with Animate, which summon a minion for 1 to 5 pips. I never use this spell. Like, I really don't use this spell. I feel like it's absolute trash. It's okay in PvP, but minions suck. Okay, minions just absolutely suck. Dream Shield, Medulla, so we put it in B because that's anti-Medulla. Anti-Medulla shield, it's pretty important. Infection is terrible. Death Prism is like, it's good, but like it's not as good now because lots of people have pretty high PS, so it's not really as necessary. Death Shield is kind of probably a C tier as well, I would say. Curse, I actually like Curse. I think it's a very beneficial trap. It's like Feint, but not as terrible, or not as good. And I like that a lot because it's actually beneficial for Death to have, if you're like jading and stuff. So that's pretty cool. Blade, I mean, it used to be good, but now it's not as good. It's only 35, so like it can't be an A tier. Death Spear, who has ever used Death Spear? This deserves to be down here. It is so trash. Who uses the spear spells? If anybody has ever, like, I've used a couple of them a couple times, but like if you ever use the spear spells, why? Please explain yourself. I'm gonna put this down here because it's basically like the Blade except slightly worse, but it can't be earthquaked off, so that's a good thing. That's a spears need to be ranked ZZZ. Yeah, probably. Hold up. Can we I don't know if we can add another row. Hold up. Add row below. Spear. A lol. And we put it in black because it doesn't deserve. It deserves a rank of its own of how trash it is. Okay, Feint is, I kind of don't want to put it at S tier, but it's like the only spell that other school actually use of Death. Like it's the one spell that everyone's like either go Tower Shield or Feint. You either go one of them first. So it kind of has to be S tier. But for me, I'm putting it down high A because I feel like it's way too overused, and you know, I don't like it as much as other people. You know, I feel like it's good, but it's not S tier good. You know, I prefer like Death unique stuff is more S tier. So yeah. Mass Infection, honestly would consider putting it down in Spear, lol, but it's not quite as bad. Mass Death Prism, okay, that can go above Blades because Mass Prisms are just so good. So good. This is the accuracy rank 1 Dark Sprite. So it goes up to 95 accuracy. This is the highest one that you can get on the top line. 95 to 110 death damage for 95% accuracy is pretty good. But I never use Dark Sprite at all. Plus, generally, by the time you get max, or when you're really... Okay, so when you get this, you're probably in, like, Mushu, okay? And, you know, you're not really using it in Mushu anyway. It's not really worth it. So, why have it? And then at max tier, for PvE, the only time you would need this spell is if you're spamming. If a boss needs spam. So we're going to put it in C because it's kind of eh. Plague is great if you're jading. We'll put that... I like Plague. We're putting that in A. Empower is also A. Dark Pact, again, A, because it's so versatile for the schools. I feel like that is above Plague, though. In fact, we're going to put it above Curse, because it's 2 blades. So, yeah. Steel health. Okay, I'm putting it in C. Okay? The only reason why is because it's the best way to get both Elixir Vitae and 1 in a million in the same round. In the same battle. So, we're keeping it at C, because there's actually some weird uses for it. Dead Zone is like amazing. I love Dead Zone. We're putting it up there. Doom again is pretty good, but not as great, so we'll put it in B. I feel like Dead Zone's far better because it's like a damage bubble, and Death needed one for so long, so I think it's an A tier spell, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but I think it's an A tier spell. Virulent Plague is cool, but also it's not as good as Plague because it's not. It's actually... Did that used to be 3 pips? I swear that used to be more. For a minus 40. Honestly, we're going to put it at top B. I feel like high B. I feel. This one is a weakness. Just slightly more useful. It's also 2 pips, though. Which isn't as bad because pip conversion is a thing. So it's actually probably a little bit better. We'll put it above this one, but simply because it's good to set up other things. But generally, if you're going against the boss, it'll just use the weakness anyway, so it's not really a setup. Pacify, trash. Dispel in PvE, trash. Ghoul, this is the extra steel Ghoul. We'll put that in B because I feel like that's kind of good. The extra steel plus 95% accuracy. Beguile, trash. Because bosses are like, no Beguile, sorry. Remove 1, heal over time, trash, sorry. Bad Juju, okay, this is an S tier spell. I don't care what you say, that is the S tier spell of them all. Mega Pacify, trash. Where's this other Pacify? Actually, no, that needs to be. Honestly, that's how it goes. That's how it goes. Sacrifice. Again, this goes up here with all of the other, like, helpful Jade spells. What's this Banshee? This is a minus 15, weakness, and also, I think it's like a minus 25, infection, which is kind of good. So I'm gonna put it there, next to this one. Next to the Dark Sprite, I feel. This Banshee is extra damage and higher accuracy, so we'll put it up. Honestly, Banshee's kind of trash because it's 3 pips, so we'll put it up there. Dream Golem, trash. I'm sorry, but it's pretty trash. But I don't know if it's... We'll put it high F, I feel. I feel high F is a little bit better, honestly. Poison carried me through Dragonspire. Poison really carried me through Dragonspire, so for that, I have to thank it. And not give it as low of an option as I was originally thinking. I feel like maybe like a B tier somewhere. Because it's really good, like, especially in Dragonspire, when you've got those life bosses where they just shield and weakness all the time. So it's quite nice to just have this, enchant it with a TC and like do mega damage. So we'll put it there. Age of Reckoning is pretty trash. Vampire can probably go here with Ghoul. Slightly lower because it's not as good. Obviously, the drain is only 60, where it should be like 70. That would be better. This one, clear for a 50% shield by the looks of it. Terrible because no one... We're moving that to there. Terrible because no one has heal dots. There's barely any reason to use heal dots. No bosses use heal dots, so it's trash. Crimson Phantom. This is the low tier one as well. I think it does up to... Hold up, let me check. How much damage does it do? Like at max. 170. 170. Which is still pretty bad. For 4 pips and a bubble, so like I would... It's not quite F because it has some utility, but otherwise it's pretty bad. Headless is S. It's number 1 S, honestly. This Headless is the worst spell ever. It should not exist. I'm sorry. Shipper Falls is S. Other Shipper Falls is F. No, not quite. Not quite. The Shipper Falls is probably down here in C, because like drains are so much better. For a death, a hit all drain is just so much more beneficial. Honestly, no, we're putting it in A. It's not even that good. Lord of Night, obviously the best spell in the game. Obviously. Just kidding. Just kidding. The Lord of Night is terrible. Absolutely terrible. It can go there. It can go there. It can go there. A drain and then a swap half to health and then a minus 25% like life, like a trap version of infection, which is just terrible. Malduit now. I have a special place for Malduit around B tier because the minion is actually kind of good. Like, it may not feel good, but it is. It's good, especially in Azteca. When you need it the most, Malduit is there. This Skeletal Pirate is just damage. 5 pips, Skeletal Pirate. I never use Skeletal Pirate. I just never use Skeletal Pirate. It's kind of trash. Hold on, we need to go out a little bit. It's just kind of trash. And this one is for extra damage for like heal over times, which again I'd say is a little bit better than Vampire and Ghoul, but it's still not. We'll put it up here. It's still not great. It's still not great. Deer Knight. I used to love Deer Knight. I feel like it's a good like secondary to Shipper Falls, but it's not the same. It's just not the same, honestly. Shipper Falls is just significantly better than Deer Knight. Deer Knight is 1, 5 pips, and 2, you have to wait 3 rounds for it to actually finish. Whereas Shipper Falls is instant, and also a drain. Honestly, we'll put it below this one, because what if we bring this one up here to, like, ahead of Ghoul? We put Deer Knight there, because, like, they're basically the same, except even then, this Shipper Falls beats out Deer Knight significantly. Like, I would prefer people to go this version of Shipper Falls than Deer Knight. So, that's where that's going. Monster Mash? Probably B tier. Alright? It does good damage. It does really decent damage, and if you have a weakness, which is good, it does a whole bunch. I feel like B tier above Deer Knight. This is the Drain. That is better drain, so that can go with the other better drains because that just makes sense. This is the terrible one. This is terrible. This can go down here with Dark Sprite and Banshee. Why? It gives a minus 25 weakness only if they already have a weakness or a dispel. So it kind of bad. Scarecrow is obviously S tier. Skeletal Dragon. I'm gonna come back to Skeletal Dragon. I'm mixed on it. King Art is terrible. But not like terrible. But it's still, we'll put it there. We'll put it below Wraith because again, an infection, it cuts too much into the damage, in my opinion. Dr. Von is actually decent. I use that a lot during the walkthrough. So I'm tempted. Do I put it above Monster Mash? No, I feel like it's just below Monster Mash. Because now I would probably use Monster Mash over it. Unless I wanted to drain. So like those are 2 very good options for like big hit spells, in my opinion. If you didn't want to use Headless. Or didn't have Headless, for instance. Skeletal Dragon. Now, this one's quite nice because it does a really big back end damage, which is quite cool. But also, you have to wait so long, and that's not really like in death sort of move play. And I don't think it's as useful as Poison, because Poison is 4, whereas Skeletal Dragon is 8, which is quite a lot of pips to sink into it. But it's definitely not like. I would probably consider using it over Dark Sprite and Banshee. I feel like I would use it over that. What else do we have? We have Avenging Fossil. hold up. We need to go out more. We need to go out more. This is way too big. Avenging Fossil. It's kind of terrible. Kind of we'll put it down there. Scion. This is the PvE Scion, which does 2 times if you or your enemies below 35% health. Which has actually come in clutch for me quite a few times. But I don't know if it's A tier. I think it's like mid B. It's mid B. It's mid B at best. Snack Attack is... This is the 3-pip version, which I am going for. And I think is a lot better than the other ones. So as much as I hate this, we're putting that one as C. Grim Reader. 4-pip version. 4-pip Grim Reader. It does like no damage. And it's like more of a... At that point, you're just putting on weaknesses. For a Shadow Pip. 2 weaknesses for a Shadow Pip is not really a good trade. But I don't think it deserves F. I really don't think it deserves F. We'll put it high F because it's not great, but it's there. Snack Attack is bad. Just the rest of the snack attacks, they're bad. They're just terrible. They're just the worst. Just the worst spell. They're just the worst spell. They're just... Actually, the new Headless is better than Snack Attack. That's it. That's my opinion on that. Kismet used to be so good, and then they nerfed it. But it's still kind of decent damage. So, I mean... I feel like I would use it over Skeletal Dragon. But I would use these spells more than that. 5-pip Grim. Probably low C. Lulu. I'm not putting it in S, I'm sorry. Lulu doesn't deserve to be in S. Lulu deserves to be in B. I feel like it's way too overused. And is not... Like, Scarecrow... Hold up. It does 590, where this does 675. But for 1 Shadow Pip. And Death doesn't get many Shadow Pips, so... It has to be lower. I'm sorry. Scarecrow's just way too good. You can literally 2nd round Scarecrow, and it does basically the same as a Lulu. And you don't need a Shadow Pip, so why would you go for Lulu when you can just Scarecrow? That's my reasoning behind that. This is the 6-pip version, which is kind of good. It's kind of good. I'll put it here, along with the 5-pip, because they're basically pretty similar. Now, the 7-pip and the 8-pip, they can go up here, because they're pretty decent hits. Like, they are actually, like, decent hits for Death, which is good. And then Winged Sorrow is a disgrace of a spell that I dislike a lot. So, we should probably put it down to C. Probably, but it does give weakness. So, I'll put it there. No, actually, there. Put it there. Am I happy with this? Headless is number 1. Followed by Juju and Scarecrow, obviously. I feel like this is pretty good. Do you guys have any suggestions on my fantastic tier list? Is this... I think this is pretty good. I think this is pretty decent. You were thinking it would go into Spears? No, I wouldn't give it that disrespect. It's a spell. It's a spell I hate, but I wouldn't give it that much disrespect. I think Blade is A, but I'll allow it. Nah, it got nerfed. Blade is only A if it's 40%. I'm sorry. 40% Blade is A. Anything below 40% is not A. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. Also because I'm thinking of Death as like in all aspects of like gameplay for PvE. And if you're jading, it's not as useful as Dark Pact. Because it's not as versatile. I'll probably bump it up to like top B. But like I just feel like it used to be good. It used to be gooder, so it can't be A because that would be A tier. But it's no longer A tier because it's not as gooder anymore. But for new players, they would probably put it at A because, you know, that's how they work. They're like Blade good. But yeah. I kind of feel like Feint may be an S tier. But I also feel like not putting it in S tier because I feel like it will trigger people. I feel like that would trigger people. what is there any other suggestions for this? You would have put snack attack into spears. Fair enough. Nah, spear is its own thing. It deserves its own thing to be disgraceful by itself. I feel like this is pretty encompassing of my feelings of death spells. And this is why you'll see these are the only spells that I really hit with, because they're just so good. They're just so good. Scarecrow, Shipper Falls, and Headless, like, you don't need anything else. You really don't need anything else. Which is kind of sad. And then also Grim Reader. Honestly, I do feel like this Grim Reader should go up because it's got really decent damage. But also, these are just way too versatile. These are way too versatile for death. These are way too versatile. I do feel like this could perhaps drop down to around there. Because that's only useful as a Death Wizard. You'll put Feint into S tier. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But then also, I feel like Feint is just way too overused, you know? I feel it's way too overused. Whereas these spells here, they're like, apart from Headless, they're pretty much like Death exclusive, you know? And I feel like spells that other people use all the time shouldn't really be factored into this. Because at the end of the day, this is for Death. Death doesn't necessarily need Feint for themselves. They use it for other people, you know? And also nowadays, Feint is just so useless because half the bosses take it off. And the other half, you know, you can just hit without it anyway. So, yeah. To a degree, being overused means that it's useful. Yeah, but also nowadays, it's so overused that bosses, like literally every boss has a Feint cheat. So, it can't be S tier anymore. It can't be S tier anymore because every boss has a Feint cheat, so therefore it's less useful. In early worlds, yeah, for sure. Feint should be high B. No, I think it's pretty, I think high A is good because it is still a decent spell, especially for early game. But in late game, it's just so useless. Like, after level 100, everything has Feint cheats. Not everything, but a vast majority of strong bosses have Feint cheats. So it's not as useful. That's why it's A and not S. If it had, like, if there was no Feint cheats in the game, then for sure that would be S. But I feel like it's just, there's just too many of them, you know? Just way too many. I think this is a pretty good tier list. I think this is a good view of my feelings of the death spells.